Dice Company contains fantasy violence, mature themes, and unapologetic bickering. No feelings were hurt in the making of it, but listener discretion is advised. Dice Company will always be free, but it's not free to make. Please consider supporting us on Patreon or Apple Podcasts and get access to our weekly roundtable show Extra Roll. Just follow any of the links in the show notes for this chapter.
Two days after the events in the Temple of Tyr, Luarin Advaris knocks on the door of Warden Wulf Ericsson's study.
Enter. Warden, I knew you're not to be disturbed, but you have a visitor. He was most insistent that you should see him immediately.
Well met, my lord. I am Augustus Fabian Zeno Denothlian, the first son of Denothlia.
Thank you, Luarin. You may leave. Good day, Your Grace. It is good to see you again. Finally, you have arrived. Prove to me that you are what I think you are.
As you wish. Perhaps this is better suited.
About this.
Irina.
No! With speed, Ericsson lifts the mask weaver up against the bookshelf, dislodging a number of books. It is just a demonstration, my lord. Perhaps
this commoner is better suited for you now. The city is infested with spies and interlopers. Your namesake was one of them.
The prince was here? Oh, so they survived.
Who?
The prince has found himself a group of friends. They call themselves the Order of the Heron. I know of Bella Clearvale and Vander Finnick.
Look at me. Think of them both. Show me in your mind. I see. That smell. I recognize it. Irina. I told you not to use her.
I have many skills, my lord, but smelling like someone is not one of them.
Then that means it must be fresh. You must have picked it up off her. She's in the city. I must find her. You are to remain here. Marsh will take care of you until I return.
From a nearby cage, a creature lets out a roar of pain and anguish.
Do not fear. He is just taking some time to grow accustomed to his new life. Aren't you, Sepulchre?
Meanwhile, across town, the Order of the Heron are welcoming back a new friend.
Who are we welcoming back?
Who are you?
You see a massive human. He has got muscles on his muscles. He is very tall. Some would say rather imposing. Others probably wouldn't say that. He's dressed in simple clothes. He's slightly muddy. But nonetheless, he carries himself with a confidence and poise of someone who works with his hands and is quite athletic.
Ooh.
Oh, we're back to the cynical, I see.
Yeah, it's a little holiday from cynicism, but I'm back. Vander straightens, having been inspecting the prone figures, and turns in the direction of the stranger. Ah! I've been told that such bizarre entrances are either a blessing or a lesson. Which are you?
I don't know. What's happened here? What's with all the blue cloaks on the floor?
Oh, it's not what it looks like. Oh no. I mean, it's quite a lot what it looks like actually when you think about it. But they're not dead. Don't worry. They're just knocked out.
Tock will raise a fist and say, "Vander, do you wish me to cast sleep again?"
No, Tock. That would be far too much. Stranger, you may trust that we are the victims in this little tableau.
Well, All right, we've got bigger problems. Cast sleep, you said. Are you some sort of magic people?
That would depend on who's asking. A name would suffice for now.
My name's Seeksorrow. What's yours? Little man with two giants.
My name is Vander Finnick. A pleasure to meet you, Seeksorrow. A strong name, I may say. So, Seeksorrow, why have you run into what is currently my alleyway?
Fair enough. Trying to raise an army.
Well, Vander brightens considerably. Would this army have a purpose in mind?
Well, normally I'd say sit down for this, but yes, we have to fight an army of the dead.
Well, you will find I am rather difficult to shock. I am also potentially aware of the army of the dead. The army I believe to be led by one Wolf Ericsson. Does the name ring out to you, stranger?
Well, that's the Warden. Why would he have something to do with the army of the dead? You're the second person to say that to me today. What's the Warden got to do with this?
Petren's been kind of shifting from foot to foot, looking quite agitated. And he says, well, this feels like it's rather a long conversation, and I can't help but notice we're standing by the unconscious bodies of some officers of the law. Could we find somewhere a bit different to do it, do you think?
Quite right. There's no situation so bleak that it cannot be assuaged with a swift drink. I suggest we adjourn to the nearest pub for a short but very potentially profitable conversation.
We are in the abandoned Dwarven district. It is possible Dwarven beer has survived the interim.
I think an abandoned cellar with a keg of beer might be a better option at this point.
Wherever there is alcohol, I believe we can make the situation work.
That's fine, lads. I know plenty of places. We need to make our talking quick. I've seen more than one dead man walking today.
I see. Then kindly assist us with removing these blackguards' clothing, and we'll make our way.
As Seeksorrow bends down to do that, he glances up at Vander, sort of, they're just asleep, are they, this lot? And he puts a hand on one of their chests, just to kind of check that he's not fallen in with a bunch of murderers.
And you can feel the chest going up and down and a heart beating.
Nice and cozy, says Vander, leaning in.
Very well. Seeksorrow whips out the cloak like the sort of tablecloth trick, leaving the blue cloak, not the cloak, leaving the man who was wearing the blue cloak almost undisturbed.
Are they now blue cloaks anymore, or are they just, I mean...
It's an existential question, isn't it?
Luckily, we don't have to answer because we're unconscious.
Do we pause the podcast now? Do we go for this?
Demand a full inquiry.
Then lead on, Seeksorrow. I understand you may have a hidey hole around here.
More than a few. Come on.
Welcome one and all to Dice Company's Small Embers Chapter 65, where a group of friends weave tales of triumph, heroism and despair under the guise of playing Dungeons & Dragons. My name is Tom and I'll be your DM through the continuing adventures of this complete group of adventurers. Please introduce yourselves and tell us one fun fact about your characters.
Hello, I'm Dave and I play Petren Oakflower. Now Petren is a hummer. He unconsciously hums a jaunty little tune whenever he's pottering about, and he goes do 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 do. The other characters will have noticed that. What they don't know, and what they will never find out, is that there are words to his song, and it goes Petren Oakflower. He has got the power. He is sweet not sour. Petren Oakflower. It's a little self-affirmation song.
It's the best fact I've ever heard.
I'm 100% making that self-affirmation song and singing it to myself for the rest of my life.
the listeners, for the love of God, put music to that.
He's not got a lot of social awareness, but he's got enough to know not to sing that in front of the others.
If we get that in a battle scene.
Petren gets murdered by Wolf Ericsson as he's lying in a pool of his own blood. He's going,
Amazing. I'm not following that.
Charlie, it is literally you next.
God damn it. Hi, I'm Charlie. I played Vander Finnick. So Vander's thoughts linger on the Dark Blade. Once, in another life, he would have been unstoppable with it in his hands. A tendril of envy curls through Vander's dark heart as he sees Tock lift it. The magic within those blades remains a mystery, but Vander does know that they carve more than flesh. Something akin to fear stirs, a rare sensation, but fear is often the currency of power. He thinks of the hours ahead and welcomes the intoxicating mix of loss, opportunity, and vengeance as it pulses through his veins. These are the days, he thinks. These are the days.
That was awesome.
Nice. That is awesome.
I mean, definitely villain in the making, obviously, but, you know, it's still awesome.
Yeah, don't know if he's going to kill his own side with that, but yeah.
I'd forgotten how much an amazing blade like that would have appealed to Vander.
Oh, yeah. The second it came out, yeah, I was thinking Vander's going to want
But
that.
if not him,
dribbling
at least in the hands of his student.
Oh, yeah.
Indeed. Yeah. Very true.
Ooh, I like that. There's a callback. Oh, my God.
Yeah.
The old Finnick. I do care about the story.
Hi, I'm Harry, and I play Tock, an imposing 6'8" automaton. Tock's human social reaction prediction matrix was attempting a quick analysis of the situation concerning the bodies of 3 unconscious blue-cloaked guards in an alleyway and their potential discovery and misinterpretation. So humans spend approximately 1/3 of their lives asleep, but die only once and then rapidly disassemble. So logical induction would suggest that for a random human passerby, seeing a body lacking consciousness, sleep is far more likely than death. Thus, it is probable that, upon discovering them, humans would react without suspicion and no additional explanation would be necessary.
Given that they're naked, feel like other suspicions.
they're not naked. They don't only wear a cloak, do they?
They're blue cloaks, that's all their wardrobe.
What a terrifying police force.
Humans get
Please
naked
don't
at
make
least.
them run after me. It's awful.
Yeah, when you jump in to attack someone and you realise you're also lined up.
This is what I've missed most.
So, do you elaborate on the blue cloaks? Only dressed in blue cloaks.
No, they are dressed normally, but they have blue cloaks on top of their normal dress.
Like everyone you've ever seen in TV or anywhere wearing a cloak. They don't only wear a cloak.
It would be helpful if they wore pyjamas under their cloaks, wouldn't it? That would reduce suspicion even further.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be very. That would be great from Tock's perspective. Wouldn't want them to parade on a windy day, would you?
No, you wouldn't.
I think nuances like that would be lost on Tock.
I think actually Tock did just wear a cloak at one stage when he was first trying clothes.
Yeah.
So maybe to Tock, just those guys just wearing a cloak would have made sense.
They might have just been trying out clothes for the first time as well.
Quite possibly.
I reached fully grown man who tried clothes.
Fully grown, employed adult.
I tell you what, yeah, you could get to full adult. I don't think you could get to employed.
There you go. Challenge for our listeners. Can you get all the way to a job without never wearing clothes?
I can think of a couple of jobs.
Hello, I'm Alex and I am playing Seeksorrow. And as the name suggests, Seeksorrow comes from a long line of men who've had slightly gloomy lives. Seeksorrow's father was a noose maker, and the jobs of his forebears include undertakers, barber surgeons, debt collectors, jailers, taxidermists, clowns, rat catchers, and carpenters specialising in gallows and coffins.
Clown?
Clowns make the mix. Yeah.
Seamless.
I wanted to just go over that really quickly and just hoping no one really noticed.
It's the only one I can remember.
I think clowns actually does fit that genre.
Okay, I'll tell you how it does fit as well. If I showed you a clown and said, this is Seeksorrow the clown. Yeah.
Terrifying.
Great name, I should.
So Seeksorrow looks like a clown then, right?
No more than he looks like an undertaker, a rat catcher, a debt collector, you know. He just looks like a big man.
And the lenses between Tock and Harry blur ever further. I'm going to make the point that might have been the greatest round of facts ever.
That is going back to the glory days of chapter 11. What have you guys been doing for 50 chapters?
I don't know about the other guys, but warming up.
I think from chapter 62 until today, it's been very, very poor.
You wait for chapter 124 or whatever it's going to be based on that cyclical.
What's that going to be? The death of Seeksorrow? You bastards.
I think having fresh characters definitely helps with facts.
Thank you. Noted.
Oh, Dom wants to refresh the facts section. Well, death abounds.
Please don't forget to check out the Dicecord Discord server. Check out our merchandise, our official website, our socials, and everything else that we're always going on about. And please remember, this is how friendships begin. One person reveals a moment of strangeness, and the other people decide to listen and not exploit it.
That is not how our friendship began. Everyone got exploited.
So let's turn the page on the next chapter of Small Embers. Previously on Small Embers, the Order's fight against Wolf Ericsson builds to a crescendo as they strike two deals with powerful beings to help. The plan is simple. They are to break into Castle Ericsson, make their way to the basement, and destroy an Alokian ward on the tomb of Wolf's brother, Sergei. This will free Alexa Storm, who will in turn destroy the heart of the Aramikos beneath the Goma Undertree. With that done, the protections over Lumatorn will fall. Seraphina has been tasked with stopping the Vampire Lord from escaping, and it should give the Order enough time to actually kill Wolf Ericsson. This all needs to happen before Emperor Salazar realises the defences are down. What could possibly go wrong? On their way to Castle Ericsson, the Order ran into Seeksorrow, a local looking to raise an army to defeat the Rising Dead. Needing space to discuss further, they head into the abandoned Dwarven district, following Seeksorrow, towards an old inn, one called the Thirsty Cat.
So you're going to go dirty mammal. Prizes for that.
And you push the door open, which opens with a creak, and inside it's the perfect representation of a dwarven tavern, only it's covered in a thick layer of dust and there is no one in there.
Homely, says Vander, shuffling in.
Well, you want it abandoned. And Seeksorrow walks around behind the bar and gets out tankards and just starts filling stuff up, slapping it on the bar.
And you delivered, Seeksorrow. A great quality, may I say.
And Vander takes up one of the tankards.
I think Petren's going to hover by the door, so in earshot, but just keeping an eye on things because he's feeling a bit nervous after the most recent events.
Tock will retrieve a bottle of a green liquid from his bag of holding and present it to Vander.
Ah, Tock, once again. You produce an unnamed potion.
It is named Preparation 6.
Good Lord. Trust the abandoned beer of the dwarves or Tock's latest concoction?
It smells profusely of mint.
Well, in dark hours, why does one have to choose? I'll take one of both.
Beer and mint.
Something that Vander can probably deal with. So Vander has a shot of the mint liquid. I'll let you describe what happens to me.
I'll make a roll, but this is his aim to get as close as possible to creme de menthe.
Okay.
Obviously, he doesn't have a sense of taste, so it is a stumbling block.
But he has been this is the 6th iteration of it, isn't it?
is.
So you have been working on it. Okay. give me brewer's supplies, I think it's called.
Yeah.
A brewer's supplies check.
Okay. Tock rolls a natural 20 for a 31.
Getting in the big roles on the essentials. It's
Yep.
good to see, isn't it?
Vander, not only is this the greatest creme de menthe you've ever tasted, it's actually better than creme de menthe, the basic flavour. This is a whole new level of liqueur. Tock has created the greatest liqueur you have ever tasted. And you, my friend, have tasted them all.
Vander drinks casually, but then pauses as his eyes appear to see things that aren't there.
My doctor! You have synthesized pure gold. Done something quite exquisite here. That was, without a doubt, the finest creme de menthe, if indeed I can call it such, I have ever tasted.
The secret ingredient was a grey liquid I found aboard the Sterling.
Another skill of mine is not to inquire where inquiries would do no good. Please make as much of this as you physically can. We'll all be rich.
Feels like that might need a name at some point.
Vander slides the empty shot glass along to Tock again and then turns back to Seeksorrow.
Well, I feel much improved. So, Seeksorrow, I am prepared now to listen to your tale of the dead.
It's not much to tell, to be honest. I'm a gravedigger, up the hill there, not very far away. And last night, one of the bodies came back up out of the ground. No other way to put it.
I assume as the gravedigger, you were in possession of the gravestone, and as such, the name.
Oh my, this is fun. This is fun.
I don't deal in names, little man. I just fill in the mud. I chopped its head off, though, and then burnt it.
It wasn't the sepulchre, was it? Marsh?
No, wasn't a fancy man. Thin coffin. Almost made like paper from some cheap supplier.
And Petren lets out a big sigh of relief.
Do not be too relieved, Petren. If the lowly in society are also being turned, that is, more surely than anything, a sign of the volume of Wulf's designs.
Why would the Warden bring bodies up out of the ground? Why'd he ruin his own city?
I'm not sure he would see it as ruin. Wulf, Seeksorrow, is a vampire.
A vampire? Does that mean he bit the man that came out of the ground? He had some sort of black stuff coming out of him, like he'd half rotten. I don't know what it was.
Clarification, Vander. I suspect the fungus Aramikos is responsible.
What, he set some sort of fungus in the ground that's bringing people back from the dead?
As unlikely as that sounds, Gravedigger, yes.
Tock will reach into his bag of holding again, take out a small vial full of a black liquid, present it to Seeksorrow and said, I have taken a sample of the fungus. You are welcome to inspect. And he'll pass it over to you.
I don't want to touch that, but it could be something of the same stuff, I suppose. I didn't look closely, like I said. Startled me, chopped its head off, set it on fire. Seemed like the only thing to do.
That was wise.
So, Seeksorrow, you talk of raising an army.
Well, yeah, I found some sort of religious man last night, brought him up to watch over the graveyard. Halfway through the night, second body starts coming up. So we chopped that one up as well. And he says, way to defeat an army of the dead is an army of the living. So we're going around trying to do that. It's not this marsh, though, that you talk about.
And how much success have you had in raising an army?
Not very much so far. I'm hoping people will believe in more than me. They just think I'm a madman. But hey, looks like I've got 3 recruits here.
Well, who is this religious chap? What's his name? And where is he now?
He's called Sepulchre Vizi. I'm not sure he's much for a priest, but maybe he's having more luck than me. He seemed confident, and to be fair, when the body came up, he didn't panic. He said we needed to get around the city, and he did warn me a bit about Ericsson. He said not to make too much noise so the warden would hear it. So maybe he knows a bit about what's going on. Not that he let on to me properly.
I'd be a bit worried about this sepulchre. I think there can't be many people it's safe to talk to about this in Frost Hollow. I worry about who he's spoken to and what could have happened to him.
Maybe. We've only set off early this morning. He's not had long to get into bother, but we were to go round the inns or anywhere else we knew, so I don't exactly know where he'll go. I said I'd meet him back at my graveyard in the afternoon.
The sepulchre has not had long, but I'm afraid, Seeksorrow, long enough to find trouble, I suspect, as Wulf's grip on the region is tight indeed.
Well, we could run about trying to find him. I only met him yesterday, though. I think there's bigger problems here.
Agreed, collateral. I suggest we turn to more pressing matters. You are in luck. You have found maybe the 3 only people in this place who believe your tale and are prepared to... Might I suggest, Seeksorrow, you join us?
Correction, Vander. There is also a squirrel.
Ah, yes, Tock. You're quite right. As ever, your interjections are a form of conversational tax we all must pay.
Seeksorrow looks at Tock for a minute and then gives his head a little shake and just looks back at Vander. He can't be dealing with that right now.
So, Seeksorrow, hours tick by and darkness approaches. Which path will you choose?
Well, I don't exactly know what you mean by join you, but certainly our path can go together for now. So we've got to do whatever we can to stop the dead coming out of my graveyard and anywhere else they might be popping up. That's not right, is it?
May I ask if you have any abilities beyond chopping things heads off? Not that that won't be useful today.
Don't know what abilities you mean, really, but I could chop a lot of heads off, I guess, at a push.
You're hired, Seeksorrow. A most impressive resume.
And I think at this point, Petren comes over from the doorway he's been guarding and sort of leans down closer to Vander and says, Vander, I don't think we can just leave this sepulchre. I don't think we can write him off as collateral. We've already abandoned the Arch Sepulchre because, well, we had no choice at that time, but I don't think we can do it again.
When one kicks a hornet's nest, Petren, it is best to kill the queen before the hornets spill out everywhere. I suggest the quickest route to the sepulchre's salvation is to execute our plan without delay.
Well, I suspect I've had more dealings with hornets than you have, Vander, and that's not really what you do at all.
Ah, yes, the naturalist. Please forget my metaphor.
Very, Petron. I believe the correct procedure is to use smoke.
Well, that's right, yeah. Pet smokes the way with hornets.
And suddenly Tock understands hyperbole. How infuriating.
So are we... Sorry, just to follow, are we burning the city down then? Is that the plan?
That was Petron's suggestion, I believe.
No, that was hornet specific. I don't know what you do with vampires.
Has the city got hornets as well?
Vander sucks in a calming breath.
Gentlemen, we lose our perspective in such conversations. I understand I was at least partly responsible, but now let us return to the matter in hand. We must use the armor we have to gain entrance to Wulf's lair.
Well, at the very least, I think we should send perhaps Cuthbert to the meeting place agreed with the sepulchre with some sort of note or something, letting him know what we're doing.
Send a powerful demon to the religious man. I can accept this plan.
Who's the powerful demon, sorry?
No matter. My apologies, Petren. I digress.
Is that another metaphor? I don't get that one's even less clear to me.
Just whimsy.
A bewildered camel walks past outside.
And Vander, for the fire, shall we set fire to the Dwarven district? It is abandoned.
Vander pauses at that.
It wouldn't actually be the worst idea.
The smoke would cause a distraction. It would demand attention.
You realize, Tock, that even for me, we would be talking of some considerable collateral?
But Vander, the district is abandoned. There are no people living here.
That's the thing about districts, Tock. They are surrounded by other districts.
I think, Mr. Robot, you'll find there's always a few people, even in a city like this. There'll always be people, even in the abandoned places.
Yes, Mr. Robot.
Maybe we should set aside burning everything down for now.
Do you wish, Petren? Plans are collaborative after all.
So how difficult is this going to be then? Killing the Warden. He's a vampire. What do we have to do to him? Is he strong?
Near impossible, Seeksorrow.
If I chop his head off, would that do the job?
Tock. We'll need to treat his weapon with silver. Are you able to do that here?
That will be possible en route, Petren.
Oh, even better.
And Tock will hold out a hand and say to Seeksorrow, your weapon, I will coat it in silver via electrolysis.
All right, so Seeksorrow hands over a preposterously enormous battle axe.
This weapon is larger than my electrolysis tank. This will take some time. Tock rummages in the bag of holding, and in fact, with the great axe, he will just go into the bag of holding, and you'll hear some clattering.
Seeksorrow just stares at this sight again, but he's kind of full of being surprised for today, because he's seen dead bodies come up out of the ground in the graveyard. So he just watches. He's going to feel surprised about it in about 48 hours when surprise is available to him again.
Trying to think of the best way. Okay, from inside the bag of holding, you hear hammering.
The bag of hammering.
The bag of hammering.
The bag of hammering.
It's faintly muffled.
And a prerequisite amount of time passes, I presume, while Tock is working his magic.
I don't know how long that would take, but basically, it's going to heat up and just like smash some silver around the edge of the blade.
Let's say it takes about 45 minutes.
Okay.
Vander's had a few more of the creme de menthe.
Of course he has.
It is 9:45 by this time, after all.
Exactly. And when you guys are in Frost Hollow, you have to start drinking early.
I don't believe we've been properly introduced. Very nice to meet you. My name's Petren. An important thing to know is I've got first dibs on Ericsson's heart. I promised I'd cut that out. Okay, so don't get any ideas on that front.
Oh, no, I didn't. I leave the bodies alone in my line of work for the most part. But nice to meet you. I don't look up to many people. And he holds out a hand because obviously he's looking up at Petren, which obviously at Seeksorrow's size is unusual.
Okay, so the great axe, whilst the lip of the edge of the blade is coated in silver, it's certainly more of a bodge job than the rest of the weapons.
That's fine.
In fact, you can see the imprints of some like coins on the surface where it hasn't kind of hammered out all of the detail.
That's fine. And so this will help kill Ericsson with it. If I hit him with this, I can't see him getting back up after that.
Agreed, though Ericsson is unlikely to stand still.
Other weaknesses include sunlight and passing water.
And then Seeksorrow turns to Tock and starts to hold out a hand, and then it turns into maybe a high five, and then his hands drop by his sides and says, "And you're Mr. Who are you then?"
I am an automaton. Designation Tock. This is Tick. And second automaton will climb out the back.
Of course, yeah, that makes sense. One last question, lads, if you don't mind. I know why I'm doing this, and I think you've understood my reasons, but why do you want to remove the Warden's heart and otherwise stop him from continuing to live?
Well, my friend Petren here is here to save the forest, and my friend Tock, I, and Tick are here for vengeance.
I'd like a bit of vengeance as well, just for clarity, but yeah, primarily the forest. Vengeance is also high on the list.
Okay, so overlooking what threat a vampire might pose to a forest, Seeksorrow says, wrong time to go into it maybe, but vengeance, what's Ericsson done to you?
He killed our friend.
Seeksorrow nods at that. He's grown up in the rough streets of Frost Hollow, and that's good enough for him.
Well then, gentlemen, time wastes. I suggest Tick and Tock get into the bag of hammers, and the remainder of our little group dons the armor required to make our way into Ericsson's castle.
Petren, would you wish for me to apply paint again? Tock will hand you like a little tub of human flesh-coloured paint. Help disguise the rather blue skin that he's got.
I suppose that's probably quite a good idea. So Cuthbert isn't going to go with them, but Cuthbert is going to... we're going to send Cuthbert to the graveyard. What message do we want to put onto Cuthbert? Because this possibly could get intercepted. We don't necessarily want to reveal our exact plans.
All signed,
All's
co-signed by all.
All's well, go home.
I think just say careful who you speak to, enemies all around. I don't think there's much more we can say without telling him what we're doing.
All right, let's do that. Petren's going to write a quick note just saying, enemies all around, careful who you speak to, and then get Seeksorrow to sign it. And then Cuthbert is going to head to the graveyard and await someone religious looking.
There's no way there could be a mix-up in a graveyard. No other situation where a priest would be there.
Vander pours a shot of the creme de menthe out for every member of the team.
Gentlemen, to victory.
It is better than branding, Vander. And Tock will have a tiny, tiny sip from his face straw.
On that, we are reluctantly agreed.
And Vander also drinks.
Seeksorrow looks around at all his slightly eccentric new friends and says, to survive in the day, and drinks his.
And Petren says, right you are, and just takes a little sip, because he's a little bit cautious of this.
It's delicious.
Says Tock salaciously.
Cuthbert just comes in and says, it's delicious.
Drink it down.
Come on, you. Yeah.
As you leave the Thirsty Cat, you notice that the weather has become overcast. It's a lot darker and there is a fine mist of rain lashing down on the streets. As you are planning to head towards Castle Ericsson, how are you planning to do that? Are you using any abilities or skills, spells, etc.?
Skill of jaywalking.
Find a side entrance, somewhere we take prisoners in. Probably not going to go straight up the main thoroughfare for the castle.
Well, I mean, we're adventurers. We probably could do better than marching them through the gates. We could go over the wall.
Happy with that.
Hang on, wasn't the purpose of stealing the cloaks so that we could just wander in?
Well, once we're inside, we can still assume that, guys, can't we?
So we've still got a hint of pass without trace. Probably another 10 minutes.
We should use that.
Maybe you could go over the wall and open the door from the inside, and then we could walk in through a side entrance.
I've got the capacity to make myself fairly unnoticeable, I suppose would be the word. So perhaps I could, clamber over a fence or something and see if I can find a way to let us all in without being spotted.
Replace fence with battlements, Petren, and I believe we have the makings of a plan.
Right you are. Petren still has pass without trace enabled, if you like, so he's able to make a fairly stealthy way towards the castle.
Petren, for backup, hold this bag, and Tock and Tick will climb in the bag of holding.
Right you are, Tock.
Okay, can I have a marching order, please?
I guess that's Petren on ahead, Seeksorrow and Vander in their cloaks behind.
Can I have a D20 from, in this order, Petren, Seeksorrow, Vander, Tock?
That is a 3 from Petren.
3 from Seeksorrow.
15 for Vander.
And a 5 for Tock.
It's a reassuring expression that the DM just made, isn't it?
No one puts a dragon on a 3. We're fine.
Well, that is true. Moving swiftly and quietly through the streets under Petren's spell of Pass Without Trace, you guys head towards Castle Ericsson. Can I have stealth checks from Petren, Seeksorrow, and Vander, please? And remember to add 10 to this for the Pass Without Trace. Tock, you don't need to worry because you are effectively hidden in the bag of hammers, or whatever he called it.
23.
That is a 31 for Petren.
Nice.
Seeksorrow rolls 22.
Absolutely nobody pays you any attention as you move through the streets, heading up to the tall and imposing walls of Castle Ericsson. 90 feet high, obscured by mist at the top, with huge towers with minarets behind it which go up even further into the clouds. There is thick, cold fog swirling around. Sporadic flashes of lightning lance the weeping clouds overhead as thunder shakes the ground. But even from here, you can see torch flames fluttering at the top of the gigantic walls.
Well, it's a little higher than I anticipated, actually. I'm not sure I can climb that.
From the bag of holding that Petren's carrying, a small little pipe sort of appears at the top, looks around, and then says, a muffled voice says, "I may be able to assist." And a hand emerges from the bag holding a small vial. It says, "Drink this."
Petren takes the vial in between his fingers and looks at it a little suspiciously, but he trusts Tock, so he's going to knock it back.
So it tastes and smells suspiciously like dog saliva. But it does provide an enhanced climbing ability. So whilst after having it, you've got up to 1 hour of the ability to basically walk on surfaces as if you were kind of like a gecko. You can just freely walk on the ceiling if you want with your hands free. It's like you're sticky.
I don't feel any different, Tock. What do I do?
Attempt climbing, Petren.
Petren sort of pauses in a "are you kidding me" sort of way. But again, he does trust Tock, so he steps towards the castle walls and begins what he assumes is going to be a futile attempt at scaling. He's going to reach up with a hand and maybe try and see if there's any handhold or something. So almost like you're a rock climber. Almost like he's going to make a ridiculous attempt at free climbing.
And as you reach up, your hand sticks to the wall and gives you the purchase you need to be able to just simply lift yourself up onto it.
And Petren's kind of stunned, so he sort of does another test with his left hand just to see if the same thing happens.
And it does.
Wow. And quickly starts scaling the walls. And he knows that this is a tense situation, but this is very fun, very exciting.
And once you start to build up speed, around 20 seconds later, you reach near the top of the huge walls. You are now 80 feet in the air, stuck to the side of the imposing walls of Castle Ericsson.
Well, Petren's going to try and sort of peek over the top without being too conspicuous while doing so.
We're still going to use your Pass Without Trace and your stealth rolls, which were hugely successful. He's able to look over the edge, and you see a 20-foot wide parapet with lots of burning torches illuminating it. There don't appear to be any guards up here, as far as you can see.
I think he's going to quickly hurdle the wall, and then getting into a crouch, head towards one of the towers to see if there's any kind of stairwells or anything like that that would bring him down and allow him to find some sort of exit to let people in.
Moving quickly as the rain is now lashing down, you find a doorway which is unlocked. You open it and enter into a circular stairwell that leads you back down. Being careful not to make too much noise as best you can, you move through the dark spiral staircase as light flickers from the torches as you pass them. When you reach the bottom, you realise that you can see the courtyard of Castle Ericsson. And again, there don't appear to be any people that you can see, but there is a small exit which is guarded by a very small portcullis. But there is a lever there, which if you pulled, you could raise the portcullis, allowing people entry into the courtyard through a side entrance.
So I think what Petren's going to do is take a beat to allow his heart rate to slow down a little bit, because it's a very tense and stressful situation for him. And just to kind of pause and think about whether what he's going to do, which is dash over to the portcullis and raise the lever, feels like a sensible thing to do or a stupid thing to do. So I guess what I'm looking for is maybe getting a perception check to see if there's any kind of traps or things to worry about that weren't immediately obvious at first glance.
Tock, using his periscope, is going to guide Petren through this process.
Excellent. You can give me a perception or investigation. It's your choice.
So that is a total of 22.
It looks like the lever hasn't been pulled for a long time, and actually the exit or entrance that you're looking at with the small portcullis has some overgrown shrubs and bushes on the other side. There don't appear to be any traps. The only thing really of note is that this is not a well-used or recently used entrance into the castle.
Okay. Well, I think in that case, I am going to dart over to the portcullis, and this might appear like an eccentric thing to do to anyone watching, but I'm going to lean next to the portcullis to where the plants are growing and just whisper, "If there's any danger here, give me a sign." So I'm using my speech of beast and leaf skill, which allows me to communicate in a limited manner with beast, plants and vegetation. So they're able to understand what I can say. Obviously they can't talk back to me, but I've asked for some sort of sign, so maybe a flower budding if there's like any sign of peril or anything like that.
What a druid.
Having used the ability, you immediately hear the word
Consume, consume, consume.
Oh shit, it's the Oromikos. That's not a friendly plant. And I thought it was being so clever.
To be fair, you absolutely were.
Yeah, I mean, knowing that's not bad.
Okay. I think Petren at this point is feeling quite exposed in the location where he is and just wants to move quickly, so he decides to pull the lever.
And the portcullis, with a clank, lifts up, pulling some of the shrubbery and overgrown vegetation out the way and creating a very small entranceway that could easily be crawled through by humans.
So I'm going to duck under, try to go through to alert the others, and as I do so, I just go, "Serves you right," to the plants that have been torn on my way through.
And you are on the other side, where Vander and Seeksorrow are waiting.
And I wave them over.
Excellent work, Petren. I trust you moved undetected.
I think so, Vander. It's very quiet. It's almost too quiet. It's slightly unnerving, but I suppose quiet's better than loud.
There were no guards.
I've not seen anyone.
Troubling.
There's normally guards here. Something strange going on.
Did we put our blue cloak uniforms on?
I
Or
believe so.
cloaks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're only clothes they wore.
So I think now with the Pass Without Trace probably wearing off, Petren, wrapped in his cloak, is going to use his Furbolg magic to make himself appear slightly smaller. So he's more of a regular human size. So he's down to like 6 foot, and with his Tock's body paint, hopes he can pass for human.
Seamless.
By God.
Tell me, Seeksorrow, do you believe these vines we see growing over the gate would be there on a usual day, or is the castle well kept?
I've never seen him before. It looks a bit odd to me. I can't say for sure, but I've never noticed him.
That's the Oromikos, Vander. It spoke to me. It was horrible. It simply said, "Consume. Consume."
I see. More troubling still. Allow me to think out loud. The castle is undefended, but we must assume that is a part of Ericsson's plan. He would still like to know if there were intruders, though, and the Paramikos may well have informed him of such, given that it was ripped on our entry.
Petren looks very stressed out because, I'm sorry, Vander. I didn't know what to do. I thought I should just hurry and let you in. I've made a mistake, haven't I?
Not at all, Petren. You may have saved us all. Better to know where the alarm is tripped. We face a choice then. Face Ericsson knowing that he likely knows we are coming, or change our plans.
As you're having this conversation, you can hear the gravelly footsteps of movement from within the courtyard.
Can we just linger as if we're dressed as guards. Can we just linger as if we're guarding the door? Like on a, we're just guards loitering at a gate, it would be a not unnatural thing to do.
I suggest we stand some distance from the gate so that we are not obviously visible.
And Vander moves to kind of 20 feet off to the left in acute angles. You'd have to actually go out through the gate to even observe us.
All right, Seeksorrow follows that.
Keeping a keen eye on the hole in the vegetation created by Petren, you can see the flicker of torchlight, and a voice calls out through the rip. Hello? And you recognize it as the voice of Luwaran. Who is out there? Hello?
Seeksorrow. He knows, or likely knows, our voices, but if you would be so kind as to tell him we are bringing a prisoner in, then I believe I can do the rest.
All right, let's do it. And he looks at Vander and says, "Are you going to be the prisoner?"
Certainly.
And Vander removes his cloak and offers his thin arm out to Seeksorrow.
Yeah, so Seeksorrow sort of takes him by the upper arm and then leads him, as if roughly, but obviously not dragging Vander, because to someone Seeksorrow's size, Vander does look like a pretty fragile little baby bird. So he goes through the door and then doesn't say anything in reply to the words, but is expecting, obviously, to meet the guy at some point as we go through.
Vander's dark hood is up.
And you make your way through the gap created by Petren. And stood before you is Luwaran. His hood is up and his face is lashed with rain. And he is clutching a lantern in one hand. What is happening?
Oh, bringing a prisoner in.
Prisoner, eh? What did he do?
Oh, just thieve him. Drunkenness, that sort of thing.
Let's see. Give me a persuasion check. And Vander, can you give me a performance check as well, please?
It's a charisma.
Do a charisma.
I don't have the charisma I used to have. That's 13 for persuasion for Seeksorrow.
17 for Vander.
Okay. Put him in the dungeons for now. And keep him away from the East Tower. I don't want him getting anywhere close to the prince.
Oh, can you show me the way, mate? I normally work on the west wall. I'm in for someone sick today.
Are you new to the Blue Cloaks?
Yeah, newish, just a couple of weeks. Used to work in an inn, but business dried up.
Give me a deception check. You can have it at advantage, because Vander definitely is doing his best impression of a thief who's been caught.
Oh my god, 6.
Vander's been edging much closer to our person, by the way.
Has he?
He certainly has. I don't know if you want me to do a check for that, but certainly he's been trying to get very close.
Yeah, give me a stealth check.
17 for Vander.
Luwarin draws a long blade from under his cloak. That does not make sense. What is your name?
Better address your questions to my friend here. Nods to the lunatic under the cloak.
The aim of Vander here is, before the movement of the sword or anything, is to have the flintlock under his chin.
And Seeksorrow is going to simultaneously go for the wrist that's got the knife.
I'm not going to pull the trigger, though. My aim is to be able to speak, but to kind of, we're not going to pull the trigger on this.
So you want to intimidate him, basically, right?
Quite severely.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll have an athletics check from Seeksorrow, and for Vander, we will have an intimidation check.
16 for athletics for Seeksorrow.
18 for Vander.
Both very good. Yep, so moving quickly, Seeksorrow, you're able to grab the hand of Luwarin, which is holding the blade, and Vander, with speed, you get the flintlock underneath his chin, and he freezes. Simon Slubbins, please calm down. There is really no need for any rash decisions. I don't understand. I don't understand what is happening. And we will end it there.
You've been listening to Dice Company's Small Embers, starring Dave Windust as Petren Oakflower, Alex Morrison as Seeksorrow, Charlie Blackadder as Vander Finnick, and Harry King as Tock, with Tom Patrick as your Dungeon Master.
The humans of Dice Company would like to thank the following sweethearts for their support: Zeus Legion, Zero Nova, Sepulchre Stennet, Marky B, Jenny the War Camel, Stephen Sikora, Nori Gosler, Mickey Arnold, Happy Daddy Scotty, Tika, SJ Phionics, Richard Ungermus, Rabbi Camel, Team Stay Toxic, Path Pursuit, Paris Hakar, Liz Beckett, Julia Zeno, Shovels, Queenie, and a special extra thanks to our very own Council of Rojan, Mama Strange, Axel Runholm, and Chris from North London.
And welcome to the table, Alex!
I'm back, you bastards!
Oh! Okay, I'm ready for the real one.
Okay.
It was like it was planned. Only Charlie made sound. And it was the perfect singular sound.
When it's about cynicism, we're like the red arrows.
How did you all know?
Yeah.
We fly in perfect disunity.
Yeah.
Lore.
Thanks for listening. Please consider supporting Dice Company on Patreon, where for the price of a cup of coffee, you get access to a whole other show, Extra Roll, as well as an ad-free listening experience. The Dice Company Discord server, along with our socials, can be found on our Linktree in the show notes. If you enjoyed this chapter, please like and subscribe, and don't forget to recommend us to your friends. If you didn't like it, recommend us to your enemies. And we'll see you next time on Dice Company.